What's up, folks? I'm Chris, your MLB writer here at Occupy Fantasy. Here with a look at this giant 14-game slate for MLB DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo here on Friday, June 24th. Today, there are a lot of options, 28 of them in fact, but our favorite pitcher on this slate is Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies. He is number one in the Occupy model when we look at our pitcher model today by a healthy margin. He has a 17.7 OF index in this matchup. A modest minus 124 moneyline favorite, slight line movement in his favor in betting markets. Projects for 1.12 strikeouts per inning against the Padres tonight. The Padres are a below average lineup at the plate in terms of generating offense against right-handed pitching like Nola, but they are actually slightly below average in terms of the strikeout rate. So this is actually an adjustment downward to what we typically would expect from Nola, which is closer to about 1.25 strikeouts per inning, but still obviously a tremendous amount of upside here for a pitcher of his quality with really good batted ball data recently in his last 2 weeks of outings, limiting hard contact fairly well. Jeffrey Springs with the Tampa Bay Rays is a left-handed pitcher for them who was one of their many high-quality short inning pitchers for a long time, but over the last month plus, since really the beginning of May, he's turned into a bona fide starter for them. He's facing the Pirates tonight, and the Pirates are a very poor lineup, specifically against left-handed pitchers like Springs. Strikeout above average, perform below average at the plate in terms of fantasy point production, so we expect big things from him tonight. Minus 200 on the money line, has a higher strikeout expectation than Aaron Nola, which is obviously very good, and I believe this is actually the highest strikeout expectation it is of the entire slate. So we think Jeffrey Springs makes a ton of sense as a secondary starting pitcher on sites like DraftKings and Yahoo. Now, looking at Springs' recent outings, he may even be viable on FanDuel. We see that his pitch count is in the mid-80s to mid-90s in recent outings, so it's certainly possible for him to go deep enough to get us a quality start. We see that he did that a couple outings ago against the Cardinals and the Yankees, so it's certainly in his bag. So actually, he may be fine on FanDuel as well, not just on DraftKings and Yahoo as a secondary pitcher. Alek Manoah of the Blue Jays is third in our model, slight favorite against the Milwaukee Brewers, projects for over a strikeout per inning, has the best StatCast batted ball profile out of any of these other options near the top of the model tonight at starting pitcher. Now, below 15 is where things start to get a little less rosy as far as reading our model for starting pitcher options. We love Justin Verlander. He got blown up last time out, and he's facing a really hot Yankees lineup, so it's a tough spot for him, and he's the most expensive pitcher option on this slate. Slight moneyline underdog for all of those reasons. He's probably high risk only tonight. Still limiting batted ball distance, but the exit velocity is starting to get a little high for Justin Verlander. Alex Cobb came off the injured list last week in a start against the Pirates. Only went about 4 innings, I believe. Now he's facing the Reds, another good matchup. Maybe his leash will be a little longer. Really big favorite on this slate. Moneyline movement in his favor. Strong strikeout projection against Cincinnati. So Cobb may be a cheaper option worth looking at tonight. Rookie pitcher Mackenzie Gore for the San Diego Padres. Underdog against Aaron Nola. Strikeout upside is there. StatCast data not as strong as some of the other top options, so maybe high risk only. Severino on the other side of that matchup with Verlander and the Astros has pitched very well this season. He's the favorite side of the game, and this is where the strikeout projections start to get a little less optimistic in our model. So I do think Severino, really, really concerning StatCast data on this slate as well. Severino may be someone worth going another direction on. Merrill Kelly with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Suspect he'll be the most popular value play. 7,900 here on DraftKings. 39 on Yahoo for those of you who play over there. Just 8,900 on FanDuel. Facing Detroit. Detroit is the second worst lineup, in terms of recent fantasy point production at the plate in the last 30 days. Strikeout slightly above average against pitchers of all handedness types. So Merrill Kelly, one of the better pitchers on the Diamondbacks staff. Big favorite tonight, minus 167. Projects for a low amount of strikeouts. But he's facing an opponent that strikes out above average, so that may mitigate that and actually raise his expected production tonight just a little bit. Now, beyond that, I do think it gets pretty tough, and I don't think I would go further than Merrill Kelly on this slate for pitchers. There is one rain game to be aware of, the Dodgers and the Braves. So Urias and Ian Anderson, I wouldn't consider either of them because of that. We like to look at who are the worst ranked pitchers in our model first before looking at stacks to see what might be some of the best options to target. And obviously, we trust our pitcher model. when we have a pitcher ranked poorly, that probably means we like the hitters against them tonight. Oakland is one of the most interesting options in our model tonight because of the fact they're facing Zach Greinke. Greinke is the worst ranked pitcher in our model. I'd expect that we would see Oakland ranked reasonably high in the stacks dashboard tonight. Kyle Hendricks of the Cubs, second worst. He's facing the Cardinals. Cole Irvin, other side of that game with Zach Greinke, facing the Royals. Paolo Espino of the Nationals facing the Texas Rangers. Oakland, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Texas are four teams I would expect to see somewhere in the upper half of our stacks dashboard this evening, just by virtue of these low rankings of the starting pitchers on this slate. Now, what does StatCast say? We have one opportunity that looks extremely interesting, and it's the highest batted ball exit velocity on this slate allowed, the highest batted ball distance on this slate allowed by the same pitcher. It is Rooney Garcia of the Detroit Tigers facing the Arizona Diamondbacks. Garcia may be someone that we want to target with Diamondbacks hitters tonight. Let's see what the stacks dashboard says this evening. The Diamondbacks are on here. They're our third favorite stack on the board. Some of the other teams I mentioned are closer to the middle of the pack in the stacks dashboard. We actually like the Los Angeles Angels number one by quite a healthy margin tonight. Roughly a 58 overall cumulative OF index for the team, 12 points higher than any other option in the model. Number one by OF index, number one by projected isolated slugging, number one by projected weighted on base average, number one by implied team total in betting markets. You can expect Los Angeles Angels hitters will be the most popular plays on this entire slate against Chris Flexen of the Seattle Mariners. Flexen's a right-handed pitcher that doesn't have a ton of strikeout upside, and he's particularly poor against right-handed hitters. So let's look at the Angels in our model. And obviously, no surprise, Mike Trout, number one by a healthy margin on the entire field of 200-plus hitters on the main slate tonight with a 12.5 OF index. He's right-handed. We want to get him in our lineups. Taylor Ward, another option that's right-handed. He'll be the leadoff hitter most likely for the Diamondbacks tonight. We love him. Obviously, Ohtani, Walsh, Rengifo, Brandon Marsh, Andrew Velasquez. These are all lefties. We're not going to avoid them, but we're just saying that Flexen is even worse against right-handed hitters. So guys like Trout, Ward, Max Stassi stand to benefit that much more from the matchup with Flexen tonight. The field is going to be all over the Angels in this matchup with Flexen tonight, but they may be well worth the price of admission because of these really strong rankings. 450 isolated slugging, 511 weighted on base average projection for Mike Trout is one of the more absurd things I've seen in a long time. 15th furthest batted ball exit velocity in all of Major League Baseball the last 2 weeks. Furthest batted ball distance in all of Major League Baseball the last 2 weeks. Profile doesn't get much stronger than this for a hitter, folks. Mike Trout is, we know who Mike Trout is. It's Mike Trout. In our model, the Twins are the number two offense by OF index, a little lower by weighted on base average on this slate. Seventh is still very good in the top 25% of these 28 teams, but a little lower than the Angels. Arizona, number two, tied with Minnesota here. Number two by projected isolated slugging, a little lower by implied team total, and even lower by weighted on base average than the Twins. I did use our lineup builder to run an MME group before sitting down to do this, and I did get mostly Diamondbacks players in 300 lineups tonight based off of the matchup with Rooney Garcia. So I will look at the Twins, but let's look at the Diamondbacks first before we get there. Rooney Garcia is a right-handed pitcher for the Tigers, and Garcia allows an elite isolated slugging to hitters from either side of the plate over his recent group of starts, but he's even worse against right-handed hitters than he is against left-handed hitters. And that's why when we look at, I got the Twins here, right? We'll go back to that in a second. That's why we have Christian Walker and David Peralta really high in our projected Diamondbacks lineup because they're the right-handed bats in this lineup. Guys like Varsho, Alec Thomas, Josh Rojas, Pavin Smith, Geraldo Perdomo, these guys are all left-handed hitters. It's just the split says that Garcia is worse against right-handed hitters, and that is why Christian Walker, David Peralta are two of the top three Diamondbacks that we would like to get into our lineups this evening. There are just two Diamondbacks hitters priced at $4,000 or above on DraftKings and nobody above $3,000 on FanDuel. So this is not only an interesting stack because of the matchup to get into your lineups tonight, it also provides a tremendous amount of salary flexibility to play the Diamondbacks tonight because you are not going to have any trouble whatsoever fitting whatever you want around them in your lineups if this is the lineup that we get tonight. So I really like the Diamondbacks this evening. Minnesota, number two, tied with Arizona in our model for a stack on this slate. Who else? Byron Buxton, the number one Twins hitter, against Herman Marquez of the Rockies tonight by a healthy margin, almost 3 full OF index points. Anything above a 4 we're fine with, so that means 7 of the 9 Twins hitters are in really good spots tonight against Marquez. Looking at recent batted ball data, we have some really strong profiles from Carlos Correa at shortstop, and it looks like Alex Kirilloff, the first baseman / outfielder, depending on where you are playing DFS this evening. Marquez having a little bit of a tough year compared to last year, has upside of being a really strong pitcher in his arsenal, certainly, but we think we're going to play this by taking the Twins against him tonight at home at Target Field. Now, over on DraftKings, obviously Jeffrey Springs, we just talked about him. Aaron Nola, number one pitcher in the model. 5 high upside Diamondbacks hitters. That is my favorite spot tonight, so that's what I think I'm going to try to do at this point. We can get Nola. We can go to Jeffrey Springs, who's number 2 in our model, and still have 41.33 per player remaining. You can save a little bit more and play Kelly and these Diamondbacks hitters and have even more salary to work with. I think that's a viable path this evening. Same idea over on FanDuel. Nola, 4 high upside, Arizona Diamondbacks hitters. I think that's the way to attack this slate tonight. Keep an eye out for the daily plug. We will post that at OccupyFantasy.com by about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where we will have our final takes on this slate for you to consider. If you want to talk about that, up until then, we have our Discord available to you. There's a link to join the Discord below every video that we post on this channel. Good luck tonight, and we will talk to you soon for more MLB DFS.